Hey, what is going on guys? Cholo here and welcome back to the channel where we take awesome out of the box. Now, Realme is going to be dropping its next flagship killer smartphone very soon, and we think this is one of Realme's best builds to date. Now, let's not waste any more time. Let's take a look at this review of the Realme X50 Pro. This phone comes with a stacked spec sheet that includes top-tier internals, insanely fast charging speeds, and a versatile front and back camera setup. Even if it is a flagship phone, Realme stays consistent with its packaging. Yes, you still get a yellow box with a Realme X50 Pro 5G branding on the front with the key specs at the back. Of course, inside you get the phone, ours being in the moss green colorway. You get documentation, a SIM ejector tool, a USB-C cable, a 65-watt Super Dart wall charger, and the silicone case. So we're not gonna be getting earphones for this one, guys. The X50 Pro feels more premium than the original X50 in every aspect. While it is roughly the same weight as its vanilla counterpart, the X50 Pro sports a glass back with a frosted finish. Personally, we prefer this over the original model's glossy finish, as it's less of a smudge and print magnet. The X50 Pro does have visible antenna bands, which is necessary for better reception of 3G, 4G LTE, and 5G frequencies. The X50 Pro has the same camera module layout that dates back to the Realme XT, and it looks a bit dated and boring compared to the camera modules of other brands. You get the volume controls on the left side and the conventional power button on the right. You also get the charging port and speaker grill at the bottom. You won't be getting a headphone jack for this one, nor will you get a 3.5mm dongle, so hopefully you have a pair of wireless headphones or some USB-C type connector headphones. The phone also sports an in-display fingerprint scanner that is fast and accurate. While you only get a 90Hz refresh rate instead of the 120Hz of the vanilla X50, Realme makes up for it by installing a Super AMOLED panel on the X50 Pro. We don't mind the downgrade in refresh rate as the difference between 120Hz and 90Hz is very minuscule compared to the difference between 60Hz and 90Hz. We prefer a Super AMOLED panel compared to the IPS ones used in the majority of Realme phones. Super AMOLED panels have better color accuracy and deeper blacks. Color accuracy is important as it gives the X50 Pro support for HDR10 along with 100% DCI-P3. With the X50 Pro's display, you also get Widevine L1, so you can watch your favorite Netflix shows in full HD. And to cap that all off, you get some stereo speakers to complete that entertainment package. The Realme X50 Pro delivered photos you'd expect from a flagship killer. The phone rocks a 64MP f1.8 main camera, 12MP telephoto with 20x digital zoom, and an 8MP ultra-wide. Here are some sample photos. As for selfies, the X50 Pro gets a higher resolution 32MP IMX616 main shooter that is paired with an 8MP ultra-wide angle shooter. Here are some samples. While both delivered great selfies, post-processing is not as consistent with the rear cameras. Selfies taken with the ultra-wide angle shooter have deeper contrast compared to the selfies taken with the main shooter. As for videos, the X50 Pro can shoot 4K at up to 60fps and Full HD up to 120fps. EIS does a relatively good job in keeping footage stable even at 4K, and Ultra Steady helps you achieve near-action camera stability at Full HD 60fps. If you need a wider POV, the X50 Pro can shoot using the ultra-wide-angle camera at Full HD 30fps. The X50 Pro's cameras perform generally well as a flagship killer, although it lacks features like OIS and dual-pixel autofocus. Now this might limit the potential it has to go up against the camera performance of other premium flagship smartphones. There's no need to question the X50 Pro's performance as it is equipped with one of the best internals you can ask for. A Snapdragon 865 processor, 12GB LPDDR5 RAM, and 256GB UFS 3.0 internal storage. With that set of internals, everything is very fluid, including switching between graphics-heavy games. Given its performance, the X50 Pro's 90Hz display is a breeze to use, as the overall user experience is buttery smooth. While it's not classified as a gaming phone, the X50 Pro can run your favorite titles at the highest possible graphics settings with high frame rates. Stability is no issue. Based on the results obtained from Gamebench, the X50 Pro can easily hit the 60fps cap on most games at 100% stability. Now, if you want to go beyond that, we have NBA 2K20, which pushes that 90fps with 100% stability, and it does that in the highest possible settings. However, as much as the X50 Pro is a monster when it comes to performance, it falls short with battery life. Armed with a 4,200 mAh battery, we hit around 10.5 hours on a video loop test and less than 10 hours on PC Mark with the display set at 90Hz. Toning down the refresh rate to 60Hz gave us an additional hour in both PC Mark and in our video loop test, but it isn't much. And that's without 5G connectivity. As of this review, we are unable to test this. While the X50 Pro's battery life is not stellar, it makes up for it with its insane 65-watt super dark wired charging. While the charging brick is big, it can juice up the X50 Pro from flat to 100% in around 35 minutes. Now honestly, that's not a bad trade-off. And there you have it. With the X50 Pro being the brand's second official flagship phone in the Philippines, the first one being the X3 Super Zoom, it is the more proper flagship killer with the 5G capabilities and the newer internals. While it is not the best when it comes to battery life, the insanely fast 65-watt charging solution fixes the issue. The cameras are versatile and perform well for a flagship killer, though the lack of some flagship features, OIS and dual pixel autofocus to name a few, limits the X50 Pro's potential. While there are only a few 5G flagship killers in the market, the X50 Pro is Realme's best flagship phone right now and is definitely a phone worth considering if you are after performance and future-proofing. Don't forget to check out the full review on unbox.ph. Also, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe if you enjoyed that video. Don't forget to hit that notification icon if you want to get them updates when we drop a video. I am Cholo, and I'll see you guys in the next video.